Welcome back to the channel. In this one we are looking at Galaxy next generation because Galaxy has seen quite a big increase in share price today. I mean, yes, towards the end of session we are selling off by a significant amount, but overall we're up by about 8% today, which is quite a big amount. I do believe that this is quite indicative of what we are going to see for Galaxy into the future. On top of that, we do have those earnings to talk about, and that is quite significant as well, and all that kind of good stuff is coming up in this very short episode, and we are talking about my personal predictions going into tomorrow. Well guys, if you may enjoy this video, please leave a like on it and do remember to subscribe, because each subscriber does help us on our mission of growing the channel. And with that being said, if you want to support the channel financially, you can do that by pressing the join button, which is next to the subscribe button. And now let's jump straight into the video, but please remember that this is not financial advice and is only just my personal opinion. Let's go. So first thing that I want to talk about is Galaxy over the past day, and yes, we have seen quite a lot of volatility. Before the markets opened, or at least whilst OTC markets were open, we saw a big jump in share price of about 23%, as I do believe people were quite optimistic on where this share could go. Now from about 9:30 we did actually see this one come down a little bit, not by too much to be honest, down by about 7%, but overall we did actually end the day quite positive with a 10% increase from that low point. I think it was to be expected. Now I want to talk about what we've seen towards the end of session today. I think this one has sold off by a significant amount due to the fact that people probably are taking profits, and that is to be expected. Bear in mind guys, if you'd have bought this one at the low points like I said, and bought tens of thousands of shares for example, you would have made quite a big profit over the past day of about 10%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you do add it all together, if you're holding a large amount, it probably is a significant number. So it does make sense that people are probably selling out if they were holding this one for those earnings to make a profit off of that. But what I want to talk about is this one more long term, because I really do believe the fundamentals are there, and just look at these earnings, I do believe that also is quite an indication of what we could see going forwards. So this information is coming from irdirect.net if you do want to know where it's from, and we can see a few key things about this one going into the future. So a few key financial features to highlight is the fact that revenue increased by 32% to about 2 million. Now, of course, an increase in revenue of 32% is significant. It really is. We also have deferred revenue of about 1 million and a product gross margin of 50%. The gross margin of 34% after freight and transit. So basically, guys, things were moving pretty well. There was also a reduction in quantity of operating loss to about 0.9 million. So things really were doing pretty well, and you can see a few of the other key things which we might want to know about the company going down just here. But basically, guys, the earnings were pretty positive, and I think this is why we have seen the share go up a bit today. I think going into the future, this is kind of what we need, at least in my opinion, to see this one really start to take off. It's at 7 cents now, and I do understand that it was at 3 cents just a few weeks ago, and people probably are saying that this stock is overvalued right now. And you know what guys, when a stock goes up by a significant amount, it's not necessarily always a bad thing if the fundamentals go with it. This is one of these instances where the fundamentals, in my opinion at least, really do go with the company, and on top of that we are now having the revenue figures to back this one up. So I think long term Galaxy definitely could be a perfect hold, and I already have some shares in this one. I've talked about this before, around 10,000 shares, and I am definitely holding this one for the next year or so. I think it definitely does have potential to hit $1, and I think $1 is a bit of a high estimate, don't get me wrong, but I definitely think it is not impossible. We have seen a lot of penny stocks take a big increase in price. I think Galaxy could be one of these which is up there in the future, because realistically what the company does, where the company is, the amount of money that the company is making definitely could back up the fundamentals enough to shoot the price up by a significant amount. So yes, it's at 7 cents now. It's seen a big increase over the past day, it's seen a big increase over the past week, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. 6 cents for me, or 7 cents for me, is still not overpriced. I think it definitely is going to reach 10 cents, probably more than that in the next few weeks. I think realistically this one does have that potential to take off. I mean, yes, it is a penny stock, it's going to be volatile, please do remember that. I think tomorrow could see a small sell-off as well towards the open of the session. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think a lot of people are going to be fearful if it was to drop. And I think it will make sense if it was to drop as well, because a lot of people, again, are still taking profits in the morning, in my opinion, or at least a lot of people who got in this one for the hype are also probably a bit scared and selling off. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world if you do have the courage, or at least the opinion, like I do, to hold this one for the next year or so, because I do believe this one could explode in the next few weeks. But if I was going to be buying this one, I'd be buying it with a mentality of holding it for the next year, if not more, because I think in that time period we definitely are going going to see significant enough growth to make it justifiable to buy it and hold it for that long. But guys, I'd really love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Do you think that Gaxy is going to do well off these earnings, or do you think it's going to crash? Personally, I believe it is going to continue to grow, but I think if it was to go down tomorrow, great, perfect buy opportunity. But I would love to hear what you have to say, so please drop us a comment. With that being said, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you in the next one. Bye until then.